All right, guys, we're going to be looking at external rotation of the hip, pales, and rails setup. So we can do this in a couple different ways. The first way we're going to do it is in a pigeon pose. So it's going to make less demand on this back hip for internal rotation. So if we're really focusing on just the front hip for external rotation, then we can do it in this pigeon pose. So what we'll do is we will come forward, try to bring this externally rotated. I don't want you to have it all the way out here. Try to keep that knee right in line with that hip here. And then we'll try to bring this as much 90 degrees as we can. Keeping that chest up, we'll go ahead and sit back. So you'll see I don't want you folding forward here. If I think of having a string attached to me and pulling myself up and then sinking that butt cheek back to the ground, I'm going to get a deeper stretch there, okay? So from here, we'll hold this for 2 minutes. If I did it from a side view, you'll see this back leg is nice and straight. Once again, not folding forward like so, keeping that chest proud and then leaning forward, okay? So if I lean forward, it's going to increase this stretch back here without me just hinging down. Okay, so we're going to hold that position for 2 minutes. If you feel like that puts too much pressure on that hip and you don't have that much range, so if you have less external rotation, we can put a block underneath that front hip. And it's going to take us out of as much external rotation. This might be a better starting point for you. If you get pinching in your hip in this position, then we can actually elevate behind your butt and be here, okay? It's going to take you out of as much hip flexion and possibly make this a better regression for you as well. So after we hold this stretch for 2 minutes, our pales contraction, right, working the lengthen stuff, is going to be pushing the foot and the knee into the ground. Now, because we're working on rotation and that's our main focus, you're going to be pushing the foot and the knee into the ground, but I want you to focus more on the foot, as if the foot is trying to drive through the ground and rotating back towards the knee. It's pushing down more so through the foot. So at the very first, we will contract but just 10% effort into the ground, foot and ankle pushing through the ground, more so at the foot, ramping up to 30%, 50%, 70%, all the way up to 100% at our safest, greatest effort. Remember, we're thinking that there is a nice scale underneath us and we're trying to hit every single number on that scale. So I don't want you to just jump up big percentages. I really want you trying to do it incrementally, 1% at a time. Okay, after we hold that 100% effort for 10 seconds, we're going to go into our rails contraction. Rails means that we're going to try to pull this leg into deeper external rotation, or what I want you to imagine doing is taking this foot and lifting it into the air, okay? If we're in as big of a stretch as we can, we're not going to move anywhere, and that is okay. So our rails contraction, once again, we'll be trying to pull this leg off the ground, really focusing on trying to rotate that foot. You should feel a lot of inner groin, butt stuff working here, so we're trying to deepen that external rotation. Okay, so we'll hold that rails contraction for about 2 minutes. Take a nice deep breath, the rails contraction for 10 seconds. Take a nice deep breath, might sink deeper into that stretch, and then we will rinse and repeat, okay? Once more, find that pales contraction, 100% pushing through the ground. Rails contraction for 10 seconds, bringing that foot up higher into the air, okay? We can do the same thing on the opposite hip to increase our hip external rotation.